On a quiet Sunday morning, the townspeople woke to a sound they'd never heard before. Hundreds of engines rumbling in perfect unison, shaking the streets. Children peeked out windows. Adults froze. Because the last time this motorcycle club rolled through town, someone disappeared. But today, they weren't here for trouble. They were here for one boy, a boy the world had thrown away. A boy who had nothing except a gift no one believed in. What did he do to summon 700 bikers to an orphanage on the edge of collapse? And why did the meanest biker among them say, "Kid, you just changed everything"? Let me take you to the moment it all began. Welcome my beautiful family and friends to my YouTube channel. Please click on subscribe, like, comment, and share this video. Thank you specially for sticking around to this very moment. Now back to the story. The story begins in a place most people in town try not to think about. A sagging brick building at the edge of a forgotten road, where the windows rattle in the wind and the walls carry the heavy smell of old dust, mildew, and memories no one wants to remember. Inside this place, life doesn't move gently.
It drags.
It groans. It clings like the cold that never truly leaves. And somewhere in this tired building, a boy named Lucas has learned how to survive by becoming smaller than his shadows. Lucas is 14, maybe 15, depending on which paperwork you believe, but he carries himself with the caution of someone much older. His shoulders curl inward, his footsteps stay soft, and his eyes flick from place to place, as if expecting someone to bark at him for being in the way. He's one of those kids you could walk past a dozen times without noticing, unless you looked closely enough to catch the spark of something hidden, something quick, bright, and stubborn. Lucas doesn't speak much. He's learned that speaking gets you blamed, that being seen gets you punished, that having an opinion gets twisted into disrespect. So he keeps his head down, his hands busy, and his thoughts quiet. But quiet thoughts don't mean he's empty. Because Lucas has a gift. No one taught him. He discovered it the way some people discover they can sing, accidentally, almost embarrassingly. Give him a broken thing, anything, and he will find a way to make it work again. Give him a handful of wires, some scrap metal, and tools so old they whisper when they move, and he'll have them humming back to life in minutes. The other kids don't admire this. They mock it. They mock him. They call him Scrap Boy, Rust Rat, useless. And the caretaker, the man paid to protect and guide these children, doesn't stop them. In fact, he encourages it. The caretaker, Mr. Hargrove, runs the orphanage with a face that always seems twisted around a lemon. He values obedience above kindness, silence above effort, and discipline above humanity. When something breaks, he blames Lucas. When the food goes missing, he blames Lucas. When a fight erupts, even one Lucas isn't part of, he blames Lucas. He's the troublemaker, he sneers. Always tinkering, always hiding, always pretending to know things. But Lucas never pretends. He just knows. He knows how to listen to the slight click inside a rusted fan and understand exactly which gear is loose. He knows how to interpret the faintest hiss of a leaking pipe. He knows which wires are live by the color of their dust. But living with a gift you can't celebrate is like carrying a secret you're punished for keeping. This morning is no different. The hallways stretch long and narrow, lit by bulbs that flicker as if begging to be unscrewed. The floorboards creak in protest beneath every footstep. A cold wind snakes through the cracks of a window that never quite closes. And there, kneeling by a broken heater, Lucas works with the focus of a surgeon and the tools of a scavenger, an old screwdriver with a cracked handle, a pair of pliers with mismatched grips, and a coil of copper wire he found behind the dumpsters last month. He works quickly, quietly, efficiently. He thinks no one is watching, but someone always is. A pair of older boys lean against the wall nearby, snickering. One of them, Gavin, the ringleader, nudges the other with his elbow, smirking. "Look at him," Gavin whispers loudly. "Fixing things like a little rat digging through trash. Thinks he's some genius." Lucas doesn't respond. He doesn't even flinch. He twists the final wire, tightens a screw, and the heater crackles back to life with a warm, steady hum. The boys fall silent. For a brief moment, just a blink of time, Lucas smiles to himself. Not a boastful smile, not a proud one, just a quiet acknowledgement that something broken is working again. Working because he touched it. But Gavin can't allow that moment to last. He stomps forward and kicks the tool out of Lucas's hand. The screwdriver skitters across the floor, bouncing against the wall. "What did you do?" Gavin demands. "Trying to show off again?" Lucas looks up at him, eyes calm, expression unreadable. "I just fixed it," he says softly. "Yeah." Gavin sneers. "Well, let's see how fast you can unfix it." Before Lucas can react, Gavin slams his fist into the heater, denting its metal shell and snapping a wire loose. The hum dies instantly, replaced by silence that feels like a punch. Lucas's stomach twists. Not because the heater is broken again, but because he knows who will get blamed for it. Mr. Hargrove marches in moments later, his voice sharp as a blade. "What's going on here?" Gavin speaks first, pointing directly at Lucas. "He broke it. Again." Lucas opens his mouth, but the caretaker cuts him off before a single word emerges. "That's enough. I don't want to hear your excuses." He doesn't ask questions. He doesn't investigate. He doesn't notice the dent clearly shaped like Gavin's fist. All he sees is Lucas, the boy who never fights back. The perfect scapegoat. Hargrove steps close, his breath stale, his temper fresh. "You are more trouble than you're worth," he snarls. "One day you'll understand what happens to kids who can't follow rules." Lucas lowers his gaze. He doesn't argue. He's learned exactly how far arguing will get him. But inside, a fire kindles, not of anger, but of resolve. A small, quiet promise to himself. "One day, I won't need this place." And just for a moment, as the wind whistles through the broken window, a whisper seems to echo through the hallway from some far-off future. A future that will look nothing like this hallway when Lucas is finished with it. But that future is still far away. And today, the world feels unbearably small. Afternoon falls like a gray blanket over the building. The air thickens with tension. Something feels wrong, and Lucas senses it long before he hears his name being bellowed down the hall. "Lucas, get in here." Mr. Hargrove's voice scrapes through the orphanage like steel against stone. When Lucas steps into the caretaker's office, he notices the broken lamp on the floor. Its shattered pieces glint like accusation. Hargrove stands behind his desk, arms crossed, jaw clenched tight. "Explain this," he demands. Lucas blinks. I wasn't in here." "Don't lie to me," Hargrove shouts, slamming his palm on the desk. "You think I don't know when you're sneaking around, messing with things, breaking things?" Lucas takes a slow breath. He's used to being blamed, but today there's something different in Hargrove's eyes, something final. "I didn't do it," Lucas repeats softly. The caretaker steps around the desk and moves closer until they're nearly nose to nose. "You didn't do it," he mocks. "You never do anything, right? Everyone else is always the problem, not you." He grips Lucas's shirt collar and pulls him closer. "You're done here." Lucas's breath catches. "What?" "You heard me. Pack your things. Whatever you own, if you even own anything, take it and get out. You're not welcome here anymore." Lucas's heart bangs against his ribs. He's been threatened before, yelled at, punished, accused. But he's never been thrown out. The orphanage is the only place he's ever known. The only roof he's had. The only bed, the only meals, the only shelter. "Where am I supposed to go?" he whispers. Hargrove leans closer, voice dripping colder than the winter wind. "Not my problem." He releases Lucas with a shove. The boy stumbles backward. "Out. Now." Lucas gathers his belongings, what little he has, stuffing them into a worn canvas bag. A few scraps of wire, a screwdriver, pliers, a small rusted wrench, a broken watch he's been trying to repair for months, and a thin jacket missing 2 buttons. He takes one final look at the room he's slept in for years. The graffiti on the bed frame. The cracked paint. The uneven floorboard he always avoided stepping on because it squeaked too loudly. This place never loved him, but it was still home. Downstairs, a group of kids watch silently as Lucas walks through the main hall, bags slung over his shoulder. Some of them smirk. Some look confused. A few look guilty. Gavin stands near the wall, arms folded, victorious smirk on his face. "Guess you should have stopped pretending to be special," he taunts. Lucas says nothing. Not because he's afraid, but because he knows something Gavin doesn't. One day, someone else will see value in what everyone here overlooked. Hargrove opens the front door and points outside. "Go." Lucas steps out onto the porch, the cold air slicing through his thin jacket. The sky is already darkening, though the sun hasn't fully set. Clouds hang low, swallowing the horizon. Then, slam. The door shuts behind him with a force that shakes the frame. The sound echoes in Lucas's bones. A pattern interrupt so sharp it splits his life into two pieces, before the door closed and after. He stands there for a moment, clutching the strap of his bag, trying to understand how quickly everything has changed. He turns toward the street. The road is empty. No cars. No voices. Just the distant hum of the world continuing without him. It's getting colder. He starts walking because there's nothing else to do. His feet carry him down the cracked pavement, past shuttered shops, past dim streetlights that flicker like they're too tired to shine. He feels fear gnawing at him, but something else grows beside it. A strange kind of strength. He has survived worse than cold nights. Worse than loneliness. Worse than harsh words. But what he doesn't know, not yet, is that this night alone will be the last night he ever spends without someone standing by him. Somewhere far ahead of him, in a different part of town, a chain of events is already beginning. One that will collide with Lucas's path in ways he could never predict. This is the last night Lucas will ever be alone. Night settles into the town with a heavy, unkind hush. The wind picks up, tossing loose papers down the street, rattling the metal signs on abandoned storefronts. Lucas walks with his hands tucked into his pockets, head down, trying to stay warm. He has nowhere to go. Nowhere to rest. His breath fogs in front of him, the air sharp enough to sting his lungs. But he keeps moving, because stopping means thinking, and thinking might break him. As he rounds a corner, he hears something. A sputter. A cough. A mechanical gasp. Then, a violent burst of metal grinding against metal. It's the unmistakable sound of a motorcycle dying. Lucas freezes. Ahead of him, under the weak glow of a streetlight, a huge man crouches beside his Harley. The man's leather jacket looks older than Lucas's entire wardrobe, patched with skulls, flames, and a symbol Lucas recognizes from whispered rumors. Hell's Angels. The biker's arms are thick with tattoos. His boots look like they could crush concrete. His presence radiates danger, the kind that makes even grown men walk on the opposite side of the road. Lucas should turn around. Walk away. Do anything except approach. But sparks crackle beneath the motorcycle's frame. A loose wire. A burnt coil. A misaligned distributor. The sounds speak to Lucas the way words might speak to someone else. They form a sentence, a diagnosis, a plea. The bike is fixable. But not by the man currently cursing under his breath and slamming his fist against the engine. Lucas swallows. He knows the risk. Approaching a man like this could be the last mistake he ever makes. But something inside him, a thread of courage, or maybe instinct, pulls him forward. Maybe it's because he's desperate for warmth. Maybe it's because fixing things is the only thing that's ever made him feel safe. Maybe it's because, for the first time in his life, no one can tell him not to. He takes one small step. Then another. The biker looks up. His eyes are sharp, cold, and heavy as iron. "What do you want?" he growls. Lucas freezes. His pulse hammers in his throat. The biker stands slowly, towering over him, fists clenched at his sides. I heard the engine," Lucas says, voice barely above a whisper. "I think I can help." The biker laughs, a low, dangerous sound. "You," he scoffs. "Kid, this machine costs more than your whole life." Lucas almost steps back. Almost. But he doesn't. He lifts his chin, just enough to show he's not lying. "I can fix it," he says quietly. The biker narrows his eyes. "Touch my bike," he snarls, "and you're dead." The wind howls through the empty street. The broken motorcycle pops and clicks as its engine cools. For a long moment, everything stands still. Lucas breathes in. Fear tries to anchor him in place. Courage pushes him forward. He chooses courage. Slowly, carefully, he takes one step toward the Harley. The biker's jaw tightens. His hands curl into fists. A vein twitches in his temple. Lucas is now close enough to see the singed wire beneath the frame. It crackles one last time, then goes silent. He kneels. The biker's voice drops to a lethal whisper. "Kid, what part of your dead didn't you understand?" But Lucas doesn't look away from the engine. He places his fingertips against the metal. And in that instant, before he even touches a single tool, before he speaks another word, before he knows what this moment will lead to, something shifts in the air. Something that will change his life forever. Something the biker himself will remember until the day he dies. The faintest spark dances along the wire. Lucas leans in, and the story pauses on the edge of a cliff. Because the next move he makes, the next breath he takes, will ignite a chain of events he could never imagine. A chain of events that will summon 700 bikers to the orphanage that cast him out. But that is not what happens now. Now, the boy kneels beside the broken machine, and the world holds its breath. The biker watches Lucas with the stillness of a hunting animal. Not a muscle moves, not a breath shifts the cold night air. His eyes follow the boy's every gesture, calculating, warning, disbelieving. Lucas kneels beside the motorcycle like someone approaching a wounded animal, careful, respectful, sensing danger, but drawn forward by instinct stronger than fear. The engine clicks softly, cooling, sulking, waiting for someone brave or foolish enough to touch it. Lucas exhales slowly, letting the night settle around him. He reaches into his bag and pulls out his old screwdriver. The handle is cracked. The tip is worn dull. It's not a tool meant for miracles. But Lucas has never needed perfect tools. He steadies the bike with one hand and angles the light from the street lamp with the other. The biker steps closer, boots scraping against the pavement. "I said don't touch my damn bike," the man growls. Lucas hears him. He does not stop. His fingers move with surprising confidence for someone half-frozen, exhausted, and newly homeless. He traces the problem in seconds. A burned wire, a loose coupling, and a cracked connector threatening to fail completely. He murmurs to himself, not words, just thoughts slipping from his lips as instinct guides him. The biker's jaw tightens. "Kid, I swear." Lucas lifts one hand, not in defiance, but in concentration. "Just give me a second," he whispers. The biker stops speaking. Something about Lucas's voice, soft, steady, certain, pauses the storm building behind the man's eyes. It doesn't calm it, but it interrupts it. Lucas begins to work. He strips wire with the edge of his screwdriver, twists the copper strands with practiced precision, reshapes the connector with gentle pressure. Each motion is methodical, almost graceful. The biker watches, confused, suspicious, impressed against his will. No one touches a Hell's Angels machine. And no kid, especially no scrawny, tired, thrown-away kid, should know how to fix one. But Lucas works like the bike is speaking to him. A minute passes. Then another. Lucas's breath fogs over the engine. His hands grow black with grease. He doesn't wipe them. He doesn't hesitate. He only moves. The biker leans in closer, his expression hardening, not in anger, but in disbelief. No kid should be able to do this. No kid should be brave enough to try. And yet here he is. Lucas tightens one last screw, adjusts the choke, and murmurs, "Okay, try it now." The biker stares at him. "You're joking." "Try it," Lucas repeats. The man swings a leg over the bike, turns the key, and presses the ignition. For a moment, nothing happens. The biker's gaze flicks sharply toward the boy, danger flashing hot behind his eyes. But before he can speak, the engine coughs once, twice, then roars back to life, smooth and powerful, like a living beast waking from a long sleep. The biker freezes. The bike hums beneath him, steady, flawless, stronger than before. Lucas sits back on his heels, breathing heavily, half expecting a fist to the face for touching the wrong machine. But instead, the biker slowly lifts his head to stare at him. Not with fury.
With awe.
"What did you do?" he demands, voice low and shaken. Lucas swallows. "Just fixed it." "Just fixed it," the biker repeats, like he's testing the weight of the words. He kills the engine and steps off the bike. He moves toward the boy in 3 slow, heavy steps, boots echoing against the pavement. Lucas braces himself. If this man hits him, it will break something more than bones. The biker stops inches away, staring down at him with a look Lucas can't decipher. He bends slightly, lowering his voice to a whisper. "Kid, you have no idea what you just did." The words hang between them like a warning and a prophecy. For a moment, the world feels suspended, the night holding its breath around them. Then everything goes dark. When sound returns, it does so gently, a soft rustle of a paper bag, the faint clink of a bottle cap. Lucas looks up and sees the biker sitting beside him on the curb. The man has placed a wrapped sandwich in front of Lucas and a cold soda beside it. The boy hesitates. "It's food," the biker says.
"Eat."
Lucas reaches for it slowly, half expecting the biker to snatch it away, to reveal it was a joke, another cruel test like the ones he endured back at the orphanage. But the man simply nods. He takes a bite of his own sandwich, chewing thoughtfully, glancing sideways at the boy who saved his bike without fear, without asking for anything in return. Lucas eats quietly. His hands shake slightly, not from cold, but from the shock of someone offering him something with no strings attached. The biker clears his throat. "What's your name?" Lucas hesitates, almost forgetting he has one worth saying. "Lucas." The man nods slowly, as though committing it to memory like something important. "Remember this moment," the universe seems to whisper, because the name he just spoke will echo across hundreds of roaring engines soon enough. After a long silence, the biker speaks again. "You live around here?" Lucas stares at his sandwich, picking at the corner. "I used to." "Used to," the man repeats. "What happened?" Lucas shrugs. "They kicked me out." "They?" the biker asks. "The orphanage." The biker stiffens. "You're an orphan." Lucas nods. "I guess so." "You guess so?" the man says, trying to understand the boy's strange calm. "I mean, I've never had anyone else." He picks at the crust. "So, yes." The biker turns fully toward him now, studying him in a deeper way, not inspecting, not judging, but searching. "What's wrong with that place?" he asks quietly. Lucas hesitates. He's learned not to complain. Complaining gets you punished. But something about the biker makes him feel safe. Not comfortable, but safe enough to speak. "It's falling apart," Lucas says. "Everything is broken. The walls, the heat, the doors, the pipes. The caretaker says there's no money to fix anything." The biker's jaw ticks. "And the caretaker himself?" he asks. Lucas takes a breath. He doesn't want to look weak, but he tells the truth anyway. "He hates me," Lucas says softly.
"He always has."
Says I cause problems even when I don't. And the other kids, they follow his lead. The biker clenches his jaw harder. Lucas looks down. "I think they were waiting for a reason to get rid of me. Today they found one." The biker's hands curl into fists, not in anger at Lucas, but on his behalf. The boy can't see the storm forming behind the man's eyes, but the audience can feel it growing like a promise. A dangerous, silent promise. Because while Lucas speaks quietly, humbly, resignedly, the biker hears something else entirely. He hears injustice. He hears cruelty. He hears a boy abandoned by every adult who is supposed to protect him. And something inside him cracks open. The biker may be rough. He may be feared, but he is not blind to right and wrong. "What's that place called?" he asks slowly. Lucas hesitates. "Why?" The biker shakes his head. "Just tell me." Lucas tells him. The biker nods once. "What I'm going to see inside that orphanage," he mutters under his breath, "I won't forget." Lucas doesn't hear the words clearly, but the world hears the promise being carved into fate. Lucas walks back toward the orphanage with the biker trailing a few steps behind, not close enough to be seen as threatening, but close enough to watch over him. The boy isn't entirely sure why he's returning. He has no bed to reclaim, no safety waiting for him, no kindness behind those doors. Something in him just wants closure. A chance to gather what dignity he has left. But the moment he steps through the gate, the familiar sting of contempt greets him. Gavin is the first to see him. "Well, look who came crawling back," Gavin jeers. "Did the trash can reject you too?" Lucas clenches his jaw but says nothing. He passes the boy, but Gavin steps in front of him, blocking his path. "What, you think you can just walk in? You're done here." Lucas tries to go around, but Gavin grabs his arm. "Hey, I'm talking to you. Let him go." The voice doesn't belong to Lucas. It belongs to the biker. Gavin turns, and the color drains from his face. The biker stands just inside the gate, arms crossed, presence heavy and dangerous, without a single overt threat. Gavin releases Lucas instantly and backs away. Mr. Hargrove emerges from the doorway, his false smile plastered on his face. "Lucas," he says, "you're not allowed back." The biker steps forward. Hargrove swallows hard. Sir, this is private property." Lucas lifts his bag defensively. "I just want my tools." Hargrove points at the bag. Those belong to the orphanage." "No, they don't," Lucas says. "They're mine." Hargrove's voice sharpens. "Nothing here is yours." Lucas squares his shoulders, tiny but stubborn. "Then why did you throw me out?" Hargrove's mouth opens, then closes. The biker watches him like a man watching a snake coil before a strike. Lucas moves past Hargrove and heads to his small room. The caretaker follows, sputtering. "You don't just get to march in here." Lucas turns, eyes firm for the first time. "I'm not staying. I'm leaving. I'm just taking what belongs to me." A sharp, unexpected silence falls over the room. It is the first time Lucas has stood up for himself. And everyone feels it. Hargrove's face turns red. "You insolent little..." Before he can finish, a thunderous engine roar splits the air outside, a sound so loud it shakes the windows. Hargrove and Lucas both freeze. Gavin and the other kids rush to the windows. Their faces drain of color. Lucas steps to the doorway and looks up the hill. One biker sits at the top. Then another. Then two more. Then 5. Then 10. Then the entire horizon begins to move. The roar grows monstrous, a tidal wave of engines rolling toward the orphanage. Windows tremble. Birds scatter from the trees. Adults step out of their homes in confusion and fear. Then the first row of bikers arrives, tires grinding against gravel. Then the second row. Then the third. Then dozens more. And then a sea. 700 Hell's Angels fill the street, each engine rumbling in unity, each rider solemn, focused, unwavering. The town panics. People lock doors. Curtains snap shut. Someone calls the sheriff. But the bikers aren't here for the town. They're here for Lucas. And from the center of the swarm, the man Lucas helped, quiet, respectful, dangerous, steps forward. No one knows his title. No one needs to. The way the bikers part for him answers everything. He is the leader. Not of a small group. Not of a neighborhood chapter. But of the entire region. He walks up to Lucas with purpose, ignoring the shaking caretaker, ignoring the stunned children, ignoring the gasps of the onlookers gathering at a distance. He places a hand on the boy's shoulder, not threatening, not forceful. Protective. Mr. Hargrove stumbles back, nearly tripping over his own feet as he tries to make sense of what's happening. This is trespassing, he sputters. "This is illegal, this is." The biker turns to him slowly. "Shut your mouth," he says calmly. Hargrove shuts his mouth. Gavin and the other bullies peek from behind the doorway, trembling as dozens of bikers glare back at them. The caretaker's voice collapses into a whimper. "What do you want?" The biker steps closer, his shadow swallowing the man. "Justice," he says. Then he looks down at Lucas. And it starts with him. Lucas looks up, eyes wide, heart thundering, unable to process what's unfolding around him. Not long ago, he stood alone on a cold street with no home and no one to care. Today, 700 bikers form a protective circle around him, engines rumbling like a war drum, every rider ready to stand for him. And the leader, the man he helped without expecting anything in return, leans down and says, "You're safe now, kid." But fate isn't finished. This is only the beginning. Because these bikers didn't come to make a scene. They came with a plan. And what they'll do next will change everything. Everything. The street stays frozen in silence long after the engines settle into a low, unified growl. 700 riders stand like a living wall between Lucas and the man who spent years breaking him down. The caretaker's bluster has evaporated, leaving only a trembling man staring into the faces of people he has no power over. Then the leader, the biker Lucas saved, steps forward and speaks in a tone too calm to be anything but dangerous. "Show me the inside." Hargrove blinks. What? The biker doesn't repeat himself. He simply gestures for Lucas to lead the way. Lucas hesitates, glancing at the towering group of riders behind him, and then at the building where he spent years learning how small a person could be made to feel. But he steps forward anyway. Because for the first time in his life, he isn't entering the orphanage alone. When the doors swing open, the smell of neglect spills out, dampness, mildew, the faint sourness of old meals left too long in corners. The nearest bikers wrinkle their noses, but say nothing. They follow Lucas down the long hallway, boots thudding rhythmically against the warped floorboards. The walls are stained and peeling. The plaster sags like old skin. The pipes hum with uneven pressure. The lights flicker overhead like they're fighting to stay alive. Lucas feels a strange tightness in his throat as they walk.
Not shame.
Not fear. Just the realization that someone other than him is finally seeing the truth. A burly biker reaches out and runs his fingers over the cracked wall. "This place is falling apart," he mutters. Lucas nods silently. Another biker pushes open a door, revealing a dormitory with rusted beds, thin blankets, and windows that fail to block the cold. "They had kids sleeping in here," someone growls. Lucas keeps walking, leading them to the tiny repair area where he'd kept his tools. It's nothing more than a corner with a crate for a seat and a scrap pile accumulated over years of saving things others threw away. The biker leader looks at it quietly. "This where you fix things?" he asks. Lucas shrugs. "I tried." "You kept this place running," the biker says. Lucas flinches slightly. "I just did what I could." The biker straightens, voice low, dark with anger he's trying to contain. "And they repaid you by throwing you out." Lucas doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. The evidence stands all around them. A building left to rot, children left to freeze, a caretaker left to rule through fear and laziness instead of compassion. When they finish the walkthrough, the leader turns to the caretaker, who has been trailing behind like a man praying not to be noticed. "This place should have been condemned years ago," the biker says coldly. Hargrove's voice shakes. It's not my fault. The funding never came. The city said." "No," the biker interrupts. "You let it rot because it made your job easier." Hargrove opens his mouth, but no sound comes out. His excuses dry up under the weight of 700 disbelieving stares. The leader steps close to him, so close the caretaker has to tilt his head back to keep eye contact. "Children lived here," the biker says softly. "Kids with no family. No one to defend them. You think that gives you the right to do nothing? To treat them however you want?" Hargrove swallows hard. I did what I could." "You lied," the biker says.
To them.
"To the city. To anyone who asked." Hargrove shakes his head. "No, Shut up," the biker says, not loudly, but firmly enough to end all further speech. Then he turns to Lucas. "Get your things," he says gently. "All of them." Lucas gathers his tools, his scraps, his small collection of belongings, everything he kept hidden so the caretaker couldn't confiscate them. As Lucas packs, the bikers quietly move through the orphanage again, seeing it not as a building but as a wound. And Lucas, This boy with hands too skilled and heart too soft has been trying to hold it together alone. That realization hits them deeper than anger. It hits them like purpose. A purpose they haven't felt in a long time. When Lucas returns to the hallway, the leader places a large, heavy hand on his shoulder. "We're fixing this," he says. Lucas blinks. "Fixing what?" The biker's eyes sweep across the ruined hallway. "All of it." Before Lucas can ask what he means, the leader turns to his men and raises two fingers. It's not a shout. It's not a speech. It's a command. And 700 men respond as one. They move with precision, the kind of silent, organized power that comes from years of riding together, fighting together, surviving together. Bikers file out to their motorcycles. Engines erupt one by one, echoing across the neighborhood like a rising storm. Lucas follows the leader outside. Bikers begin unloading impossible amounts of gear: toolboxes, lumber, nails, hammers, drills, even propane heaters to warm the building. Some return with trucks loaded with supplies. Others set up workstations on the sidewalk. The town watches, stunned. Old residents step onto porches with wide eyes. Parents cling to their children, unsure whether to be afraid or overwhelmed or both. The sheriff pulls up, only to be waved back by a single look from the leader, and the sheriff decides he has no interest in escalating anything today. The biker leader steps forward and claps his hands once. "Let's get to work." And it begins. 700 men, tattooed, weathered, hardened by life, split into groups without hesitation. One group tears out rotted boards from the porch. Another begins rewiring the electrical system. Another hauls out broken furniture and replaces it with new pieces brought from their own homes. Some install new windows. Some repair pipes. Some repaint walls. Some patch ceilings. Some fix the roof in the freezing cold. Some build new beds, sturdy and clean. Some clean the kitchen until it shines. Some scrub the floors that haven't been clean in years. And some, those who know what it feels like to grow up without a father or a home or a chance, stay close to Lucas, watching him, guiding him, teaching him. Lucas moves among them like a spark in a room full of lanterns. He hands tools to bikers 3 times his size, who think him like he's an equal. He repairs small appliances while men twice his age nod in approval. He offers suggestions timidly at first, then with more confidence as the hours pass. Every time he speaks, every time he works, every time he takes initiative, the bikers notice. Because they see what he cannot. He isn't just fixing things. He is leading. Quietly. Naturally. Effortlessly. Hours pass. Then more hours. The night deepens, but no one stops working. They take turns eating. They take turns warming their hands. But they do not stop. And slowly, inch by inch, wall by wall, room by room, the orphanage transforms. The broken is replaced. The rotted is removed. The neglected is healed. The forgotten is restored. Children peek from windows, whispering in amazement. Residents gather outside, watching history unfold. Even those who once feared the bikers now stand closer, drawn in by the strange beauty of men who look like trouble working with the quiet devotion of saints. Lucas pauses at the doorway, breath visible in the cold night air, eyes wide as the building he once felt trapped in becomes a place worth living in. It feels like watching a broken heart mend itself. One biker approaches him, a massive man with a beard thick enough to hide his expression. "You started this," he says. "All of it." Lucas shakes his head. "No, I just fixed a bike." The man laughs, a deep, warm laugh that shakes the frost from the air. "That's where you're wrong." The leader approaches, overhearing. He kneels slightly, bringing himself to Lucas's eye level. "You didn't fix a bike," he says. "You fixed the wrong thing." Lucas stares at him. The biker continues. "You fixed me. And when you fix a man like me, you fix everyone who follows him." Lucas's chest tightens. He doesn't know what to say. He doesn't say anything. He simply watches as the men continue their work with tireless determination, each hammer stroke echoing a truth Lucas is only beginning to understand. These men didn't just arrive to repair a building. They arrived to rebuild him. The dawn begins to creep across the horizon, soft light spreading along the rooftops. As the sun rises, the orphanage stands no longer as a place of neglect, but as a symbol of what happens when kindness meets muscle, when courage meets loyalty, when one child's quiet strength awakens 700 sleeping giants. And as the first rays of morning glow across the brick walls, the biker leader stands beside Lucas and says quietly, "Kid, this is just the beginning." Lucas didn't just fix a motorcycle, he fixed a future. And sometimes, all it takes is one act of kindness to rebuild an entire world. If you believe no child deserves to be thrown away, comment, "I stand with Lucas." And if you can't stand bullies who break others down, hit the like button and join us, because kindness wins here. If you enjoy powerful stories told like a movie, subscribe to Crime Syndicate Tales, where power always has a price. Like and comment more powerful stories to unlock the next chapter.